And we should be live. Hi, everyone. Is the 21st of December. Today is winter. And today I have really a big guest. So if you are here, just drop a hi in the chat. I want to ask him a lot of stuff because we have been connecting for a while, I would say. And also, I also want to celebrate that I reached 20K subscribers on YouTube. So we'll make some noise today. We really want to have fun. I want to relax. And so yes, so that's the thing. I think that I'm gonna drop some memberships now, but before doing that, I want to share this on some places. So let me start with LinkedIn first, and then also Twitter. Let's see. Okay, so live with Logan Kilpatrick. I'm excited because I have so many questions. Let's see. This, I think I can make this live. I don't know if he has a YouTube channel. Let's see. No. Wait, Logan. DevRel at OpenAI. Okay. That's it. I want to go here. I want to click post and then also Twitter. So share the link here. And then I think that we can start. Let me see. Okay. Live. Live. Okay. Nice. Second. Okay. Nice. See, Logan is here. Okay. So I want to gift away one membership just to warm up, and then just a couple of minutes, and we will invite him on the stage. I really want this to be a great episode. So let me go here. I think it's from here, and let's start with one like this. Let's see. Nice. Okay, that's it. I need to change it. Nice. Let me find this. See if we find something. Let me put this link here. And then I think that we can start soon. Just have to switch and the account so I can actually gift some membership. Let's see. Nice. We are live. Amazing. 5 people here. Let me gift one membership and then I think we can start. Nice. Today I really wanted to relax. Hey Albiona, how's it going? We were talking about meeting people in Rome. If you stay a couple of minutes. Nice. It's great. Let's see if I gift this and if I can give this to Albiona. Let's see. Gift the one membership. No, to clear charts. Okay. Nice. Okay, so I think that we can start. I'm excited. So I'm about to invite here basically the start of 2023. I think that we all can agree that 2023 has been the year of AI and OpenAI. So ending this year with the DevRel of OpenAI as a guest, for me, it's really super great. It's awesome. So let me invite Logan on stage. I want you to greet him. I see we have 10 people, so we are growing now. We think it's the right time. So are you ready? Let me invite Logan in just 3 seconds. So 3, 2, 1, and go. Logan, welcome. We made it. This is not the first time of Logan on this channel, but we did something unusual. Usually we do the podcast first, and then we get our hands dirty. In our case, we did a ChatGPT in action episode. Amazing. I'll put this somewhere. But I didn't have the time to ask Logan things. So now, finally, we have some time. So welcome, Logan, and please introduce yourself. I'll put you on the left. Welcome.
This is
How
awesome.
are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm doing great. We were talking off air before this about we've been connected for coming up on 3 years now. So it's been awesome to see your journey and see the community that you're building continue to grow. So happy to be here and chat about AI and a crazy year. But yeah, my name's Logan Kilpatrick. I do developer relations at OpenAI, really focused on helping make developers successful who are building with our API platform, who are using ChatGPT. So happy to talk a little bit about my background, happy to answer questions about our API and all that good stuff.
Yes, absolutely. I will be absolutely selfish because I have some questions for you. So I'll use my host powers to ask something about your story. How did you get into tech? I think this will be a very interesting background story to listen, but let's see. And of course, feel free in the meanwhile to drop your questions below. We are doing this live, so you can even ask anything you want, which is, of course, relevant to the discussion. So usually, this is, as I say, this is my 208th episode, and Logan, I would like to ask you, like, how did you get into tech? Usually, when I ask this question, someone starts from like when they were like kids. Someone says like, I did a degree and then I found a job. So probably something in the middle. Take your time because it's a very open question to start with. I want to know more about the background and basically how did you step into tech. I already know some news, but I want you to show them and tell them to the audience. So thank you so much.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think growing up, I was like surrounded by technology. I don't think I was not somebody who was like coding when they were like 12 years old and like had was hacking and building computers and stuff like that. I really started programming when I was in high school, and I think even saying that is maybe a little generous because I had no idea what I was doing. I was sort of fumbling my way through it. The thing that got me really excited was when the Flappy Bird app, if you're familiar, came out originally on iOS. I saw that and I heard about the level of success that the creator of Flappy Bird was having. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, this looks really simple. I feel like I should be able to make something like this. So I started going online and watching videos and trying to figure out like how I could actually do this. And I didn't have a Mac at the time. I only had a Windows computer. So I would go to the library in my local town and I would try to use the Mac that they had to like watch videos and try to create my own like knockoff version of Flappy Bird. And it was really, really difficult, but I think, and I wasn't ended up like successful in doing it, but I think it planted the seed for me to want to study computer science when I went to college. And fast forward to the beginning of college and I started taking computer science classes, and I remember I was taking a C++ class, and it was like my first official computer science class, and had like a professor who was basically retired. I had, it was like a class that was like later in the day, and just not a ton of enthusiasm in the class to actually like learn about computer science. And we were learning about like pointers and C++, and I was like, this is really just not that much fun. I'm like, why do people like programming? It's really not even that cool. And I remember calling my mom and telling her, I was like, hey, maybe I should not do computer science. Like, this is really hard, and it's like doesn't seem that fun either. Like, why am I going to do this? I'm really grateful I pushed through, made it through that class, and actually got to some of the fun things. I feel like when you and you as someone who's in the DevRel space and someone who builds things knows this best, Francesco, I think like actually building something and getting to see it like come to life, I think is the most exciting and like rewarding experience as a developer. And I loathed that in the classes that I was taking, like it was nothing about building. It was all about these like contrived fake examples, which just made it really hard for me to get excited about computer science. So either way, ended up making it through, did a bunch of internships, worked at a bunch of different companies, and now we're here today.
Yeah, you see, every time I invite someone on this podcast, I learn something new, and I always find some analogies with my story. So it's not like a coincidence that, for example, I've been connected with Logan. So we will get into more details later. But for example, I don't know if you know that I started learning code for real because I was doing a computer science degree, but was absolutely bored from coding. Yes, judge me, but it was because I come from the sports world, so coding was absolutely boring. And I started coding games, I would say, and I was also not that successful. So it's probably you have been more successful than me in that part, but I see some analogies of like trying to do something which is at least a bit interesting and not like super boring stuff, because otherwise I can really fall asleep. So this is I see many analogies. I also tried to emulate the Flappy Bird. Of course, it's one of a kind. Maybe we need a separate episode just to talk about all the story. Probably you know all the story of Flappy Bird, how it was successful. It was an inspiring story, because I think for everyone doing a game. So very interesting one, Logan. And so you were attending the university, so you were doing the university, you said, and also the retired professor say, okay, I'm not judging anyone, but let's say I can feel you. I'll just stop here. I can feel you, and and I would like to know, yes. So, but you didn't even mention the university, right?
So when I started college, I was actually at this is always an interesting part of the story. I started at community college. So I was living in Chicago and I moved to California to go to a college called De Anza College, expressly because I wanted to go to De Anza for 2 years and transfer to the University of California, Berkeley. And I had always, like, in my mind, like, computer science was ubiquitous with going to Berkeley. So I was like, well, that's my goal. I really want to go there. And I think I realized, like, too late in my high school journey that I needed to have, like, incredible grades in order to get into Berkeley out of high school. So I went to community college and sort of took a second shot at it. Ultimately ended up, like, I didn't realize this when I moved to California to go to De Anza and try to transfer to Berkeley, but ultimately Berkeley lets in like 6 people every year into their computer science program as transfer students. So I got waitlisted and didn't end up making it in, but ultimately ended up getting into Harvard and moved to Boston and went to Harvard instead. And I think it ended up working out, but I think it was an interesting lesson in sort of putting it all on the line in some sense. Like I really, like, did not have, I didn't have a lot of, like, plan B options. I think actually, like, coming out of high school, I applied to a bunch of different places. Like I was thinking about going to Purdue or the University of Arizona or a bunch of other places. And I got in all those places and was thinking about going, but, like, really it was me wanting to push myself and try to go to the best place that I could to study computer science. And I thought that was Berkeley at the time. And again, didn't end up working out, but Harvard ended up being a good experience. So it all worked out in the end. So the initial story that I was sharing was while I was at community college before I had transferred to Harvard. And it was a really cool experience. I think, like, I know this, Francesco, I'm not sure if you're, like, super familiar with just, like, the culture of like college in the US, but, like, usually it's like community college is, like, very much looked down upon. Like, if you go to community college, like, the connotation is like you're not smart and, like, it's difficult to be successful if you go to community college. And it was a really great experience for me. Like, De Anza College that I went to was, like, less than a mile away from, it was in downtown Cupertino. So it was less than a mile away from Apple's headquarters. So, like, lots of the professors that I had were, like, retired leaders from like Google and, like, a bunch of people from, like, all these different tech companies. So it was, like, a very different community college experience than I think I normally would have gotten.
Yes, and we have a comment from Jake that the WGU is a hidden gem when it comes to getting a degree. So yeah. Nice. So the story is getting very interesting, I would say. So let's try to move on, because I want to understand, like, I don't know, your first role in tech, because you were, like, your first role, it was not a DevRel role, or it was your first
No, it
role?
wasn't. So my, like, career actually started while I was at De Anza. I was working at the Apple Store, like, in person at the Apple Store, like, helping people with their phones, and ended up meeting a ton of people. And while I was at the Apple Store and while I was in college, ended up also starting as an intern at NASA. So I was at NASA for, like, 3.5 years, first as an intern, then as a contractor. So I was having sort of these dual experiences. And I think the experience working at Apple at the store, helping customers, and the experience, like, getting programming experience at NASA ultimately led to I got an internship at Apple as a software engineer, really by happenstance. Like I actually like was helping someone at the store and I met them and they happened to like have, it was cool because I was in the San Francisco Bay Area. So like lots of the people who I met were like Apple engineers and engineers at other companies, and made a bunch of connections, like really just by chance. And some other folks who I was working with at the Apple store also went to Apple corporate. And it was this, a lot of serendipity involved. But ultimately, like my first full-time job was as a software engineer at Apple, then became a machine learning engineer at Apple, working on computer vision stuff for the Apple store. So when you go trade in your phone at the Apple store today, they actually like take a picture of it from like a few different angles, and that goes into the machine learning algorithms that me and the team that I was on built and trained, and actually determines how much your phone is worth during the trade-in process. So it was a really interesting problem.
Very interesting. This is getting really, really interesting. Love it. Yes. Nice. Okay. So you've been working, as I said, in Apple Store and then also as a machine learning expert. Okay. Okay. And now from there, how like because I want to slowly get into like the meat, let's say but I want to go to it slowly. We have some time, not the first time, but we have some time because I want to really understand. I think everybody is like saying like, okay, how did you manage, let's say, to get into OpenAI in some ways? Of course, because you're amazing, but I want to know the how, like the process, what happened. So let's start to move into that direction. I don't know if you made other experiences in the meanwhile, and also how did you get into this DevRel position? Of course, DevRel is one of my favorite topics. I need to get you more into like spaces and all these events, but you see, slowly I'm getting you like there. So, but yes, so Logan, I want to know more about this story. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so while I was at NASA, it just happened that the team that I joined at NASA was using the Julia programming language. So just because, and at the time, Julia had not even hit its 1.0 release. So it was like really early on in the development lifecycle of Julia, and not very many people were using it. And this research team that I was on at NASA was using Julia. So I just happened to I had to start engaging in the open source community because there was like so many things that were changing, and like the only way to know the things that were changing were to be involved in the open source community. So I started contributing, ended up running a bunch of programs, and then at the beginning of 2020 actually like joined the project officially as the first just focus on educational, like developer education stuff, and then ultimately became the community manager, and then ultimately became like the person who was like leading community and developer relations for the Julia ecosystem. So spent like 3.5 years supporting that ecosystem. While I was working, this was all part-time, while I was working at Apple full-time, while I was working other places full-time after Apple. And I think all of those experiences culminated in, at the latter part of 2022, I started looking for different jobs and happened across OpenAI. And I was like, this seems really, really interesting. But I was also applying a bunch of other places. And at the time, OpenAI had not released ChatGPT yet. So it was not like the clear path to like going somewhere that it was going to be the most successful place. And the team just kept telling me when I was interviewing, like, yeah, we have all these, I spent a bunch of time using the API because like my original goal was going to be like get developers excited about using the OpenAI API with GPT 3.5. And there wasn't a ton of developer excitement around that because ChatGPT hadn't come out yet. So originally that was like the whole reason that I was hired, was to do like traditional developer advocacy and get people excited. And the team just kept saying like, hey, we have all this like crazy powerful stuff, but like we can't show you what it is yet. And like once you join, you'll be able to see it. And then ultimately I found out that was GPT-4 and got to see that behind the scenes. And it's been crazy. And it's also, I think like, to really hit home on one point, like throughout this whole story, and I always try to tell people this, I think you look at somebody's LinkedIn or you look at someone talk about their life and like, it looks like, and there's a bunch of like pictures that depict this, but like, it looks like this very linear path. And like, I can't emphasize more about like how random and serendipitous, like many things are in life that make someone look like they had this wonderful planned out path and everything just kind of worked. And like, really, to me, it doesn't feel like that. It feels like I've had these serendipitous opportunities throughout the last 5 years, and they've all kind of just culminated in where I am today.
Yes. So first of all, we need a petition on LinkedIn to turn this linear story into a graph. So I think that will be the first step. So we need this. This is a very nerdy thing to say. So we need to do that, and also, and yes. So nice, Logan. So and also I wanted to say, was that to forget. All the companies, they say that they are great, they're gonna crush. You say yes, of course, but then you're more interested into like it's a job, so it's this. So in your case, they were true. Let's say it's okay. So I mean, you told it. So yes, nice, and so nice. So Logan, I would like to ask you a bit more about. Like your DevRel position. As you probably know, I am a huge fan of DevRel. So, like, what are your activities? So what do you do in OpenAI? What's your main role? What have you done basically? I think that you have been kind of busy this year. So first of all, thank you so much for accepting this. I feel honored. Of course, I know that you are always super busy, but we always find time for friends. So it's great. Thank you so much for taking it. And yes, Danny. So just as a reminder, if you want to drop a question now or never, or regret it forever, we have Logan and Kilpatrick, DevRel at OpenAI. So Logan, something that you did like as a DevRel, like I don't know if you can summarize this in less than 1 hour, but we can try. Let's try.
Yeah, it's a good question. So going back to what I was talking about before, when I was originally being hired, it was to get developers excited about building with OpenAI. My first day was December of last year, and it was ChatGPT hitting 1 million users. Was literally the day that I joined. So we no longer had that problem of like raising top of funnel awareness with developers because ChatGPT really got the whole industry excited about building with this technology. The flip side of that is now we have this massive amount of like new incoming demand as a platform. And really at that time, the entire developer platform team, which I was a part of, was 6 people, including the engineers, including the engineering manager, and including me. So there was a incredible amount of work to do to keep up with all the demand, build the features, get GPT 3.5, the ChatGPT API builds, GPT-4 API builds, all this stuff. And again, at that time, like with the instant success, like if folks are familiar with just like the realities of like a business, like it takes time to hire people. Like it took us like months and months and months to like go through the entire process, get people offers, get them. So like we had this incredible amount of initial demand and like not enough people on the team. And I think now since then we've I actually saw a message yesterday from someone on our team. And it was, we had this really, really small group originally, and I think it was like 6 or 8 people, and we're ending the year with 30 people focused on building our API. So like the team has grown significantly. I give this context because when I started, much of the work that I was doing was focused on like, how do we make our developer product better, our API product better? How do we better communicate with developers? There's so much excitement and interest, and like we didn't really have any mechanisms to communicate to developers. People had a ton of questions. So I split my time across a lot of different things. I think like one pillar of it is like communication, like how do we communicate to developers, the things that we're building, how to best leverage our products, et cetera, et cetera. I spent another huge portion of my time today doing all of our documentation. So everything on platform.openai.com, I spend a lot of time working on. I do like normal software development stuff as well. Like I ship features in our playground and on platform.openai.com to make our docs experience better for people. So I spend some of my time doing that. And then there's just like a whole big bucket of other random ad hoc things. Like I used to run the ChatGPT plugin store. So I had a team of folks who were helping me do that. I, help and support all of our hackathon initiatives, do a ton of like external things with events, and just like 1,000 other things that get pulled into there. So it's a tremendous amount of fun. I think for me, the thing that makes it so fun is like, it's this really, this wide breadth of things. Like that's what gets me excited, is like having a ton of different things to work on. Yeah.
Yeah, and I can feel because of everything you mentioned, one thing it requires, I don't know, 1 month, like, I don't know, new launch on hackathon, but like this requires like, I don't know, 1 month, 2 months to prepare. And yeah, so be careful if you are DevRel and they tell you to organize a hackathon. So be very careful because it's more work that you might think. And yes, of course, you've been super lucky, of course. Nice. So Logan, I have a question more like about the team and the vibe of the OpenAI team. So we had an example, let's say recently, if you've been following on Twitter, that's like I think something that it was one of a kind, what they say. But I'd like to know, even before or after what happened in the last month, like what has been like the vibe? Like, is the company like super fast paced, busy, funny? Like, how is working at OpenAI basically?
Yeah, the thing that gets me very excited about OpenAI, and this takes me back to my conviction about why we'll be successful as a company, is there's like such an incredible amount of talent at OpenAI. Like I feel like I'm most rooms that I go into, most meetings that I go into, I really do feel like I'm like the least equipped person there, and I really like that because there's so many. Yeah, there's just so many smart people who have like really deep domain expertise and also care a lot about this like fundamental mission that we're on. Like I think there's a lot of it's really easy to get caught up in like, for example, we have ChatGPT. It's like a successful product. People use it, people pay for it, et cetera, et cetera. And I think it's easy to get caught up in like the world of like, oh, let's just go and, sort of milk this like successful product that we built. And I think there's a lot of people who have the foresight to, I mean, we want ChatGPT to be a successful product, but also take a step back and think about like, how do we actually solve our mission strategically? And like, where do we make our bets to make sure that we're not just making a great product, but we're actually solving the mission that OpenAI exists, which is create AGI and make it accessible and make it benefit humanity. So I think there's a ton of focus on the mission, and I think people also move really quickly, which I like. Like I get OpenAI has been a great experience, but in many ways it's made me frustrated with a lot of things outside of OpenAI because I see the potential of what happens when you take a bunch of really smart people and you give them the right resources and they can work on something they care about. And then I see places that I'm involved outside of OpenAI where I wish there was that cohesion. I wish the talent bar was that high, and I wish people had the sense of urgency to go and do that work. So it's really hard for me now. I feel like I'm, in some ways, I could in my future, long in the future, I'll never be able to work somewhere where this isn't the case. It's just like it would be really hard for me to handle it now because of how quickly everything happens at OpenAI.
I think the best solution here is to enjoy the moment, and then you will see. In tech, it's so fast paced that we really don't know. Sometimes when you make some, I don't know, monthly events, even a daily dev, I don't know, in the span of like 1 month, people have already changed the job, job 2 times, and they do something else. We really don't know. We really have no idea. So as I said, it's very important to keep doing the right things, and you will see. But I understand. I think it's like you work for an open source company. I think like going back to a non-open source company would sound very hard, especially for a DevRel. I don't know. It would be probably hard. Not impossible, but that could be a problem, I would say. Nice. Thank you. I would like to take a couple of questions from the audience now, and then I want to keep going because I still have some time to ask you something. But thank you for sharing these. That was the vibe that we had, but like hearing this from you, it's different. And of course, I'm sure that you were not the least equipped in the room. I'm sure. We have a question by Eluchan, which it's more like the programming languages. Illusion works like with different programming languages. He likes that. I also like that. So, there are some languages in addition to Julia and C or C++ that maybe you like the most, or maybe you'd like to explore more, maybe in 2024. I don't know if you code some projects, but this is an interesting question even for me. Thank you so much, Illusion. Yeah.
Yeah, I spend most of my time actually doing Python development and TypeScript stuff. I think 2024, I've got a whole big stack of books next to me, and I want to spend more time like getting better at front end web development. Like I've done a bunch of like pure software engineering and like a bunch of like scientific software development, but I don't have like a good strong foundation in React. So that's personally what I'm excited to learn more about. Like I think React is really cool and an amazing web development framework. So I've got a bunch of books that I'm going to read over the holiday break and try to get better at it.
I don't know. I think that I never heard someone in tech say like, "Oh, I learned everything. Now I don't know what to do." It's always the opposite. Like I have this pile of book and this 100 courses. I also want to, I want to focus more on probably one front-end framework more than one. That's too much for a DevOps guy, and Rust. This is what I want to focus more now. We have a question by Albiona. We met in Rome last week, so if you were in Rome, we could have done this three. She's also the developer advocate for ZK. And like, I think it's a very important question because when we work, especially as a DevRel, for companies that are frenetic, they have a fast pace, how do you balance and how do you manage, for example, to all your tasks that I'm sure that are many to not get burnout or maybe don't overdo? Because I think it's super easy as a DevRel to, maybe it's, I don't want to say if it's easier as a developer. On developers, you have those tasks. So they say, okay, I have these 4 issues assigned, that's it. As a developer, sometimes things keep happening, things to do on top of them. And sometimes maybe you have an announcement, but in the meanwhile, you have your core stuff. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. So how do you manage all of this? How did you manage this so far?
Yeah, I think two things. One, I think like at the end of the day, how you stay from burning out is like such a deeply personal thing, and it really depends on like how you tick as a person and like what gets you excited and what gets you going. I think for me, like this is the stuff that I would be doing regardless of like it being my job. Like I spent a long time in the open source space, like doing this work essentially for free, and I think I was doing it because I really, really liked it. And it's interesting now to see like how that has had an impact on me as a person. Like I just want to, like, if I could stop working today and like never have to have an official job, I would still just go and do stuff to help developers because it's like a group of people who I care about, and it's like the most fun that I can imagine having. I think also like really tactically, I've been doing, I feel like I've had a lot of work to do for like the last like 5 or 6 years. So it's like an endurance thing. Like I feel like I've just like built up a bunch of endurance because I've always had a bunch of stuff going on, and it's also what I like. It's what I really like. There's not a lot of other things that like. Yeah, obviously I have like hobbies outside of work, but I'm like, if I really had to choose at the end of the day, like what it is that I would want to be spending my time doing, like I just get so much like personal reward out of like writing a blog post or like shipping a PR to like make something better. Like to me, that's just like one of the most rewarding things in my life. And I really like it. And it's hard for me to like find other things that are that rewarding. And I think in some ways, like this isn't like great for me. Like I think there's probably negatives and downsides to this, but that's at least the way that it feels today.
Thank you so much. This was a great answer. Thank you. Thank you so much. Of course, also Lucian, thank you. Now we have one more technical question by my friend Jason. Metrics. So this is, I think, one of the things that can be not an easy topic. So I needed to ask you this hard question. And also it's interesting one for me because metrics rules vary per company. I think you're talking about DevRel, Jason. What sort of things does OpenAI look for you for your role?
Yeah, this is a great question. I think historically, OpenAI, at least in what we've been doing for DevRel, have not had a ton of emphasis on metrics, mostly because we were super bandwidth constrained, and we were also on like a very exponential curve. So it's like really like it's hard to extrapolate certain metrics when you're on those exponential curves. I think in 2024, we'll, from like a developer experience team perspective, we'll have much more focus on this. There's a lot of a lot of low-hanging fruit for us as far as like just like the basic. I think the like three things that come to my mind is like retention from an API perspective, how quickly you can go from signing up for an account to actually using our API, and then once you've like used our API, like what's your time to first API call. I think that's like one of the most important things. Like, how do we reduce every barrier as possible so that a developer comes, they want to use the OpenAI API, and they can go from having the idea in their head that they want to use it to sending a request and getting a response back in the shortest amount of time possible. I think, yeah, we don't have like good metrics on those numbers today. Again, mostly because we've been building the plane as it's flying. But I think 2024 will hopefully have a much better sense of all these numbers and where we can improve this.
Yeah, I liked this analogy of building the plane while it's taking off, basically. So not even the train, but the plane. Yes, thank you so much. And we have one more question. So let's take one more, and then I have one more, which is a very important for me, a very personal question for something which is really happening in 2024. So I'll keep 5 minutes for me, but keep dropping your questions. So could get 2 or 3 more. DevRel and development. I think it really depends on the company, but like, so as a DevRel now at OpenAI, do you do development and how? I already know the answer, but yeah, it's go.
Yeah. To answer really quick Jason's other question, Jessica Sachs is amazing. She's incredible. So yeah, that's all I'll say. But for Roxanne's question, I have deep conviction that if you want to do great work in the developer relations, developer experience space, like you have to write code. I think there's probably exceptions to this, and I think there's exceptions to everything, but I think in general you should be writing code as much as possible. I write code not only like from an example, like building things with our API perspective, but also like shipping features along with our other engineers on our core platform. And I think like in general, the closer you can be as somebody doing DevRel and DevX to the like core engineering work that your company is doing, the better off you'll be. Like the farther away you are abstracted from that work, I think like there's just like a lot of like downsides to being abstracted away. So I try to be as physically like sitting in the office close to those teams, and also just like as far as the alignment of the work that I'm doing close to our like actual API developer team who like builds the APIs and ships new capabilities and all that stuff. And yeah, again, writing code as much as possible.
Yes, and we coded together. I think it was. I have no idea. I should double check, but I'm sure it was not last week. Some time passed already, but yes, and of course it depends on the role. Probably this can really help. I think it really depends on the role, and the role and the team and what you have. So absolutely. Nice. Okay, now I have 2 minutes just for a personal question, which is maybe it's interesting for you, but it's very important for me because I've been invited on some conferences next year, and I want to bring me building a project on the stage, so from scratch. And I like to build things from scratch because I think that they are better for people who are following. So even a simpler project, but like you start from zero. So is there anything that you can suggest me, maybe something that now you know that can be a good idea to be built on stage, on a live stream, or on an actual stage? So I would like to build a project that uses AI in some ways, probably the OpenAI API. Do you have some ideas?
Yeah, something that would be really interesting to do, and it's something that I've been thinking about a bunch lately, is like some sort of like texting project. So imagine like ChatGPT, but instead of going on OpenAI.com, you actually like send a text message to like a Twilio number or something like that, and ChatGPT responds to you. I think there could be a lot of really interesting stuff around that, and actually it probably wouldn't be hard to set up. I think the Twilio API is done pretty well, so you could probably set that up. And I think it's cool because it's actually probably really useful. Like you can imagine, I've told people this a bunch of times and stuff that I've been doing, but I think the texting modality has so much, like it's already multimodal by default. You don't need to write the code for it to send images, take in images, send videos, take in videos. If you go and like build something in web, like a Node or TypeScript application, you need to like write the code to do all that stuff. Versus in the context of texting, like all of that is taken care of for you, and you just use the Twilio API to like get the inputs and outputs and send them. So I think you can make like a really, really compelling demo without having to write a ton of code because of that like level of abstraction that Twilio provides.
Nice. I'm still in the brainstorming idea because so these talks will be in January and July, one in Atlanta and one at We Are Developers. I don't know if we are coming to Render ETL. There is a chance that some parts of the talk could actually come from this podcast. It would be mind-blowing. But I know that I'll wake up tomorrow and it will be June, because that's me when I have to prepare a talk. So it's December. I want to anticipate a bit. So thank you. I still have to think, but I'll try to find something that fits and some cool ideas. I have already some, but thank you. The problem is that there are so many applications that I would like to do something that makes sense and also build it from zero, from the blank, let's say, repository. So that's my style that usually I like, and I think it's better for people to follow along, but I want to do a technical AI focused talk next year. Nice. Okay, so if you have any other questions, you can drop them below. And Logan, I would like to know, like, what are the plans for 2024? Even for you, from your personal perspective, you have some projects that you want to focus on. And this is also for me to understand if we can do some more collaborations, to be honest. But I also want to know from you, like, project you want to do, something that you want to dedicate maybe more time on it. So what's the plan? It will be 2024 in less than 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think like one personal project that I'm really interested in going into 2024 is actually like not technical in nature, but I do think it's something that you and I can collaborate on. Is I've been thinking a lot about how to build a community space for people in the developer relations, like developer DevX world. And I think like as somebody who's in this space myself, like I haven't seen somewhere for like people like you and me and so many others who care about this industry to like connect together. And I really hope that it just, these kinds of things take a lot of work, and I have a lot of things going on, so it's been difficult to do, but I would love to see that happen. And I would love, I found this incredible platform that we could use, and really sort of the impetus for bringing people together will be like events. I think there's so many like virtual events and potentially in person as well. I think there's so many platforms where it's like, I don't want to join a community and like have it only be like text and have it be like text in, text out. Like I know I see you posting your link to Discord. So it's no disrespect to the folks at Discord at all, but like for me personally, like I just have a hard time like having the desire to go in and like spend a bunch of time seeing things without like some like core value add to like bring me in. I really think like events, like for you and me and for other folks, like I want to hear about how you're approaching developer relations at daily.dev. Like that would be a great event, and like I would go to that event and like hear about your strategy. And I think like people would come and hear about how other people in the Web3 and crypto space are doing it, and so many other things. So the Developer Relations Foundation coming soon. Hopefully, would love to have you. Would love to have you and Francesco and other folks as well. So stay tuned.
Yes. So first of all, I'm super curious because for me, developer relations, it's a job that I like no matter what I'm doing now. So sometimes I do some DevRel roundtables. The problem is that DevRels are usually very busy. So you can have them, but like creating a very solid DevRel communities, I think I have a couple of ideas, but it's hard to build it. We already have some members that are ready to join. So I'll be on if you want to join. And you see, we have a couple of people. So that's good to know. That's great. It's good that this is not just a coffee chat, me and you, but we can you can see, we can make some plans. I think that for me, when I do this sort of communities, even this code that I created 3 years ago, it was more focused on the content creation part. I think everything should be natural, try to invite some people understanding the goal of the community, but I think we have already some people who would like to be part of it, and maybe we can decide. As I said, like even when I invited Evrel on this podcast, everything seems easier because we are used. I don't know, we talk too much, but like it's very good to create events. And I also learn a lot when I do like the Evrel roundtables on this channel. I did one last month. We always learn because we see from different perspectives also how people work on other companies doing different things. Someone someone they don't code, someone they have, I don't know, they create events. It's a huge word. DevRel, it's like saying development.
And
What is development? What is development? It's a lot. It's
I think you should. My hope would be like this gives you the means to like host those same exact types of roundtables, even have them on your YouTube, and just like be able to tap into an audience view. Because I'm like, for me personally, like I feel like there's so much happening on Twitter and online that like I don't even see these posts that you're doing about developer relations roundtables. And like I would love to go and be there and like hear what people are talking about. And I feel like I just like miss them because of how crazy everything is online these days. So yeah, I'm intrigued. Hopefully we can collaborate on some of that stuff.
Yes, probably a good idea. Like we did, like for example, many Twitter Spaces. You know that I'm trying to bring you to the dark side, but it's good because they're also easy to organize, even easier than a live stream, or maybe we can do monthly events, even on different accounts. So absolutely down for this, Logan. We will keep organizing stuff. At least we need to do at least one because it's. I think it could be interesting to share points of view, like of how has been, for example, how our experience as a developer, because it's a sort of super new role. So, every time I ask, like, what is the DevRel for you, I get a different answer, for example. So it's really about, I think DevRel has something to do with like philosophy, like because it's like we are talking about different perspectives, and there is not one person is right and one is wrong. It depends on this. But I think that the communication in the DevRel is absolutely key. Understanding what you are doing, how I am doing something, how some people in the audience they organizing events, they organizing events with other people. So absolutely. Let's see if we can do something super cool in 2024. And yes, I think that some people in the audience here are from the REL. I like it. Nice. So Logan, let's go back. Let's go to the end of this first podcast episode. By the way, as I said, we also made a ChatGPT in action episode. I promised that I would have brought you like to talk about in this different episode. So we made it a bit late. I'm a bit late. I'm sorry, but I've been a bit busy. So at least at the end of 2023, I made it. So Logan, let's end this first episode with maybe if you want to give a final message, it can be to developers, or maybe what do you think that developers should focus in 2024? I think you have had a kind of hectic year. So from your perspective, like what's your result for this? And if you want to leave a final message to wish basically us a great 2024. Thank you.
Yeah, I think 2023 and 2024 has been and continues to be a really cool opportunity for people in the DevRel space and just like developers in general to come and build like really unique and compelling products around generative AI. And I think the thing that I would push people to think about is like moving beyond just chat. Like I think there's so many cool experiences out there that like require you as a developer, as a designer, as someone DevRel to like think outside the box and like really build a unique experience. And I think broadly, companies and people who are building sort of out of the box experiences are the ones who are going to end up like having product success in 2024. So if you're working somewhere, like I think this is my pitch for daily.dev as well. Like if you can think of like what are the cool experiences that developers want around content and learning about programming, and then tie that all into some like cool generative AI experience, like I think that's going to be, and like hopefully it won't just be chat. I think that would be really, really compelling. And like I'm always looking for products like that are pushing the sort of user experience boundaries of what this technology can do. And I think like we're actually going to see a ton of like new explorations from people in 2024 around that, because sometimes those experiences are just like a little bit harder to make than just like the basic chat input output setups.
Nice. Thank you, Logan. I think I feel ready now to do stuff in 2024. And as I said, I'm also on vacation until the 2nd of January, so I have ideas, things to do. I'll watch this podcast episode later. Also, yeah,
It's
sorry.
dangerous because I'm like, I'm going to go on vacation and I feel like I have like, it's when I finally have space to like think of all the things that I need to do. So it's actually not great. I'm like, I need to stay working because otherwise I'll have like, I'll start in January with like 100 things I need to do now.
Yeah, I know. I have to focus on few things. I have already 2-3 big few things like this talk, another big project. But yes, no, it's always good, and I really wanted to wrap up this 2023 in a great way. As we said, there is a small chance even to meet next year. Let's see. Let me dream. I mean, dreaming is free, as I said. So let's see. Logan, thank you so much, and yeah, I really wish you the best. I saw you doing really great. I think we can all agree that you did really great. Everything you did, it was really on point. We did multiple collaborations. Thank you so much, of course, for your time. I'm sure that you are swamped with stuff, but still, thank you. Nice, perfect. So we made it, and we needed to organize more stuff. The problem is that when you start doing events with other developers, we have new ideas and new stuff. So let's focus. If you want to do something, but I'm sure that we will do something. If you want to say thank you and say bye to Logan, just say it now. Of course, Jake, we met in person in Denver last year. It's funny because now I see people in the chat that I met in person. Like I met Albiona 2 times. I met Jake once. So it's great. I mean, so we just need to fix this bug probably in 2024. Let's see if we can fix this bug of meeting each other. And that's it. When I'll try the Julia programming language, I will annoy you. Of course, I tried this at least only just once, but I don't know. I tried different languages. So at some point I'll do a Julia Docker video because I never made it. When I'll do this, you will have a DM, an annoying DM, and you'll see, yes, okay. So nice. Perfect. Yeah.
Thank you for having me on. And also congrats on 20K on YouTube. It takes, I think I saw something recently about like, it was showing the like fall off of people on Replit app who are like doing the like 100 days of code, and like to get to, if you can make it 100 days of code, you're in like the 99.99 percentile. And I think like for you to make it to 208 episodes of your podcast is like the 99.99 percentile on YouTube. So I don't think you mentioned before, you're like, I don't know what's happening on YouTube. I think it's like the persistence of like continuing to make great content. So congrats on making it this far, and hopefully 2024 is going to be huge.
Yeah, thank you. So I didn't want to steal your scene. So for this shameless plug, on Saturday we will do some celebration after coding. So I want to do coding, and after that we'll just enjoy. So that's it. And yes, I just want to end up saying that it has been tough here for YouTube, and sometimes you don't know what you're doing. So doing YouTube is like doing a diet. You do something for 3 weeks, nothing happens, like I did when I was back from Miami. I was doing something, nothing changed. And now 3 days ago, basically, I don't know what happened, but I'm not complaining. I'm doing exactly what I did. I can even invite you again, like in 4 weeks. Like you want to do, like, the model works. So everything should be the same. It's like when there is a football game and there is a goal. I need to do exactly what I'm doing now. Nothing change a single comma.
I'll just come on every 4 weeks. We'll make it easy.
Exactly. So I'm not changing anything. I'm doing same pace, same formats, and that's it. Logan, really thank you so much. And yes, thank you so much. And see you in 2024. I'll keep following, and really wish you the best. Bye. Bye, everyone. And thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. A moment.